Welcome to Arc Drones FPV. Hello there, fellow FPV pilots and RC enthusiasts. Today, I'm assuming you are stopping in for the review of the SpeedyPizza 6S 1200 milliamp SpeedyPizza LiPo battery. So part of the reason why I wanted to do this review is because I've seen a few reviews on YouTube as well as other platforms, but I felt like all of them had something missing. So today, one thing that you will get out of this is a combination of subjective as well as objective information. Subjective largely being my experience, and then with these batteries over the past 2 years. And then finally, objective, we will get into things like the weight of the battery, thickness of the casing, length of the wires. We'll do some internal resistance testing and things like that. So first thing is full disclosure here. 2 months ago, I was sponsored and became sponsored by China Hobby Line. And so I went from ethical considerations, I wanted to be able to disclose that. However, to compare and contrast, you can see some of the batteries behind me. All of the SpeedyPizza batteries that you see behind me, and there's what, 10 or so of them there, I have purchased over the past 2 years with my own money, well before I was sponsored by China Hobby Line. So if you think there's any bias in this review, that's certainly something that you can take into consideration, but I also ask that you consider the paradoxical nature of the fact that if that was the case and the only reason I'm doing this review, well then why did I spend my own money on SpeedyPizza batteries over the past 2 years? Okay, with all of that being said, let's dive into our first aspect of today, which is what is the application that I've used the SpeedyPizza 6S 1200 milliamp batteries for. And the application is, it's been for 5-inch drones. Almost exclusively I fly the Apex. Also, I fly the AOS 5-inch frame. So 2 5-inch drones that I use this for. The reason why I mention that is because, yes, I could go with a slightly bigger battery, but because I'm carrying a GoPro, I'm using the Vista as my my video system there. The drone itself, with all of that on there, is going to be about 700 grams. So I'm happy with that weight, again, with the GoPro, but bigger batteries would just make me weigh a little bit more, and I get a decent amount of flight time as it is. But let's move on past the application. We'll visit some of that later, and let's start diving into some of the specifics and some of the objective information of the SpeedyPizza 6S 1200 milliamp battery. Okay, so once again, just to point out that every single one of the SpeedyPizza batteries that you see out right now, I have purchased with my own money over the past 2 years. Now, the batteries we're about ready to do an unboxing for that are in these black boxes have been, again, provided to me from China Hobby Line. But let's go ahead and do an unboxing here. So what I was happy to see, and this came directly from China Hobby Line, is that it actually came in a box rather than just a bag or something that's not quite so sturdy. And so inside of there, you can see that we have the battery. Once again, it's wrapped in bubble wrap, so we have even more protection. Always cool to be able to have stickers in there, so that's a win. And finally, we can take it. Oh, I missed a sticker. We've got another one. The China Hobby Line sticker. Okay. And we are bubble wrapped here. Maybe I can just slide this out here without spending a whole lot of time trying to make this quick for you, because I know that there's some of you that aren't here for the unboxing. You just want to be able to dive into the other stuff. So I don't know how you feel about aesthetically, but I'm a big fan of the yellow and the gold there. And of course, the artistic side of the SpeedyPizza drones is just kind of cool and nuanced. Okay, so that's a quick unboxing. Let's go ahead and move on to that, into taking a look at some of the objective information of the battery. Okay, let's go ahead and transition now into the measurements of the battery itself. 76 millimeters long. It is approximately 32 millimeters tall, and the width of it is going to be 45 millimeters. Now, one thing that that I think is good to be able to talk about is what the length of the wires here, because I do think that makes a pretty big difference. Now, your lead balancing wires, we're looking at a total length here of approximately 35 millimeters. Not sure if you can see that. Some people like shorter versus longer balance leads. Now, I'm a big fan of this 35 millimeter or roughly there in that territory. Why? Because when I fly, I do put a rubber band about it around my battery to keep everything nice and tight. I don't want this flapping around, and so the long ones just becomes kind of inconvenience. I think it's long enough to be able to use when you're charging, but short enough to the point where it doesn't get in the way and flop around when you are flying. The length of for your XT60 from the start to finish, you're looking at approximately, let's see, 96 millimeters or so there. Going back here, another reason why I like these shorter is because, of course, that keeps the weight of the battery down. Okay, the next thing that we're going to do is let's take a look at the weight of the batteries. China Hobby Line has mentioned and has advertised that these weigh 216 grams. So let's see how that stacks up. First battery we have on there weighs 217.3, so that one's pretty darn close. This one is 224.6, so 224 grams. If we round it up, that'd be 225. This one is 223.1, round that to 223. Put a couple more on there. 220.5, 223.2. So we vary anywhere from about 217 grams to about 224. We could round it and say that they average somewhere around 220 grams. So as FPV pilots, every gram does make a difference. And I do wish these were a little bit closer to that 216 grams. But at the same time, in FPV, when you have a approximate couple percent margin of error, I would say that's pretty darn good. So we're looking at averaging somewhere around that 220 grams per battery. Now that we're done with the scale and the weighing portion, let's move on to internal resistance. We'll be using the Toolkit RC M7, which is a pretty good charger. I like it for the price point. It's not perfect, but I like the size and the price point of it. We'll use a 6,000 milliamp battery as the input, and we'll test multiple batteries for the internal resistance. Joshua Bardwell had mentioned that the internal resistance for a 1100 to 1300 milliamp battery is somewhere around 10 milliohm. So let's check to see where we get with some of these batteries. And this one is reading between 7 to 8 milliohm. So that is low and solid. Again, for a used battery. We'll test a few different batteries here. You can also tell this one's used because look how chewed up and stuff that is. What are we looking at in terms of internal resistance of this battery? Between 8 and 10 milliohm. We'll keep jumping down the line here on testing these batteries. Now, this battery, I had a new XT60 on. Had to replace that. And that was just the new XT60 connector. But this one's reading between 8 and 10 milliohm. Okay, we'll test a few more here. Overall, I'm pretty happy with how well the batteries have held up, and I think the milliohms give you a good idea, as that is an indicator of overall health of the battery. That's between 7 and 10 milliohm for this battery. Let's keep punching through. Test a total, I don't know, half a dozen or so of these guys. And this one is going to be looking at between 9 and 13 milliohms. So you can tell on that one, I'm starting to get a little higher there, but still very much in the reasonable category for 13 milliohm. Last one, we'll check this guy out. And we're looking at a total, oh, this one's real low at between 6 and 7 milliohm. Okay, so we have tested some of the internal resistance of the individual cells that you have seen here from my used batteries. Now, I have had some Speedy Pizza packs over the past couple years where an individual cell might start to, break out and get into that 20 and 30 milliohm. But where are we starting from? Let's compare a new battery. This is one of the battery packs, Speedy Pizza packs that I've received from CNHL. And this will give us an idea of a starting point of internal resistance. And I don't know how well that'll show up on the screen again, but I'll get as close as I can. And if you can see that, we're between 4 and 5 milliohm for each one of the individual cells. So a very low internal resistance and of each cell. And if you take care of your batteries over time, then they might start to go up into that 10 milliohm, which is certainly acceptable. Occasionally, you might get an individual cell that jumps up to 20, 30 milliohm. At least that's been from my experience. Overall, they hold up very well. The next thing I would like to do, and this is something I have not seen talked about or done much in reviews for these batteries, is the general construction of it. I'm a big advocate of batteries that are durable. I'm not looking for the lightest battery. I'm looking for a balance of performance, weight, and durability. This battery that we're looking at right here, I had pushed pretty hard and damaged it after flying it for quite a long time. And so one of the cells ended up busting, or the lead came off for that cell. So I'm gonna end up scrapping this one. But it gives us a good battery to be able to look at and review. So in here, if I go ahead and take this off, the first thing I want to talk about, and I'll hold that up there, is your shrink wrap casing for this is approximately, I don't know how well we can see this on camera, but if we hold it up right there, the casing is about 1 millimeter thick. So when we're talking about durability, it is very nice to have a thick case that goes around it. Additionally, it is pretty darn firm. As you can see, even though it's been cut off of the drone, or sorry, off of the battery itself and the cells, that it still maintains its form very well, and that is a sign of its durability. But that's not just where it stops in terms of durability. There is a couple of plastic liners. This is relatively thin plastic. You can see that right there. Relatively thin plastic that goes around the entire battery. However, one thing to note that I was really, really pleased to see, and I think this helps quite a bit with that durability factor, is that if we start to peel this off, you will notice that it's not just this paper or plastic that's relatively thin that surrounds the battery. They have, and I commend China Hobby Line on this. Let's see if I can pop that off of there. Now this is another approximately 1 millimeter thick, super hard plastic that surrounds it. So China Hobby Line could have made the batteries a little bit lighter, but I'm glad they didn't, because I enjoy the durability that comes from the casing that surrounds the battery. And now at this point in time, you can see that this battery, again, I've beaten up pretty good over a long period of time. So I think we could probably leave it there in terms of the durability as well as the general construction of it. Because if you ever look at any other batteries that have been decased and opened up, they look pretty similar to this right here. Okay, so that was the majority of the objective information here in this review. Let's talk subjectively about these batteries and my experience over the past 2 years. First thing here is that you can go through, I now on YouTube have approximately, I don't know, 300 different videos on there, mostly in the form of shorts. And so if you want to get an idea of my flying style, which is a combination kind of like cinematic and some freestyle in there, which my freestyle can, vary between some smooth stuff and then some more aggressive FPV freestyle with higher rates. And the reason why I mention all of that is because I have heard some people talk about battery sag with these batteries. Now, again, you can go through all of my videos and take a look, but overall, my experience is that if you take care of these batteries, they do pretty well in terms of their performance on the drone itself. Again, my drone's approximately 700 grams with the battery as well as GoPro in it. So it is lugging around, this battery right here is lugging around a decent amount of weight and producing the energy for it. So overall, you can be the judge yourself if you pick up a few of these on the battery sag. But what I'm saying right now is that in my videos, in my performance, or my experience in the performance is it has not been a limiting factor. Okay, one thing we have not spoken about so far is going to be the price of these batteries. So the SpeedyPizza 6S 1200 milliamp battery, this is March of 2024. Depending if you buy them in a pack, meaning multiple other ones, or on sale, the standard price of these is somewhere between the neighborhood of $20 and $25. Okay, so let's begin to summarize. First thing, these batteries weigh approximately 220 grams, which is a good weight for a durable battery. Why is it durable? Well, again, we've got a nice thick casing on here, and I love the plastic inserts that help with the durability factor. As far as performance goes, in terms of amp draw and everything like that, if you have a good solid build and you fly anywhere similar to how I fly, you will not be disappointed with that. As far as performance for longevity, again, these batteries I've had for over 2 years, and I still use them today, and they perform very well. So take care of your batteries there. Overall value here is for a $20 to $25 6S 1200 milliamp battery. I don't think you can go wrong, especially if you're looking for some batteries for your bando quads. So if you haven't already, please make sure to like and subscribe. I hope you got something out of this video, and I will see you next time.